Who's going first?
Okay, thank you. Hi guys.
Yeah, can you hear you? Continue.
Hi.
Okay, thank you. I am also
Who's going
Jonas
first?
Nyongru from Rwanda. Okay, thank you. Hi guys. Was good. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear you? Continue. Have you guys been okay?
Okay, thank you.
Have you
I
guys
am
been checking the
also
material?
Jonas
Have you just waiting for the
Rwanda.
classes? Are you going
Okay,
through the
thank
course?
you.
The way the program is structured.
Hi
Yeah,
guys.
that's
Was
we
good.
share the material ahead
Thank
of
you.
time so that you can read the material. Have you guys been okay? When you have
Okay,
the
thank
call,
you.
have you guys
I am
checked the
also
material?
Jonas
I had just waiting for this one. I had this
Okay,
one.
thank you.
And then we cultured.
Hi guys.
Then we share the material ahead of time so that you can read the material. We share the material
Okay,
earlier for when you have
thank you.
Monday.
I am
Monday,
also
Tuesday, Thursday, of course, Friday, the first part, then material. And we share the material so that you can read I'm having an issue with this, and you can then. That's the essence of this class. So the class is meant to break down, explain things to you, right? What you might have missed so that it will make sense to you. Because if you're waiting for this class to learn, honestly, you will not learn fast and learn well. These classes majorly are to undo your questions, your difficulty, and make something that does not make sense make sense. So if you've not gone through the material, nothing can make sense. So please, I encourage you all to please and try to. Let me ask by raising up of your hands using the hand emoji. How many of you have gone through the material for this week and have tried it out using the emoji raising up of hands? How many people can you raise up your hand? You've gone through the material this week that was shared. Anyone? Okay. Who else again has gone through the material that was shared this week? Just one person? Guys, I want to hear from you guys. Like, if you feel, is it just one person that has gone through the material this week? Anybody?
Actually, sir, we are able to understand you as well.
Yeah, but the material that we shared every week, how many of you have opened it and gone through it and have started practicing it? Okay, only one person. Okay, two. Joy. If you've opened the material, you've gone through it, and you've tried to start your VS Code and start something, raise your hand up. Let me see. Just give me like an emoji. Okay. So for other guys that are yet, so that's the essence of the program. When we share material, try it yourself, watch the video, set up your Django, set up your Python, write the code, get stuck in an issue. Then when we come on this call, you can say, guys, I have an issue here. Please, can you help me? You can share your screen and we help you. Right. So I need 3 more people to go to tell me, give me a feedback on how the program has been. So I will know whether we should continue it or you guys feel like you're wasting our time. Let us know. I need one more guy and 2 ladies to give me their feedback on the program so far. Who's going? Should I call names? If nobody's going to raise their hand, I'm going to call names. Okay. Nadine. Nadine, can we hear from you? Sage, can we hear from you? I've been the program. Hello, Sage. Hello, Sage. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello. I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Good. So, I want to hear your feedback. How's been the program? Have you been practicing what you've been taught? What do you think about it? Did you get my question, Sage?
Sorry, what?
Did you get my question? I said I need you to give me a feedback. How has been the classes so far? Does it make sense to you? Are you learning? How has it been?
Yeah. Thank you for the program. I really like the past session. It was really helpful for past task about smart library system. It was really helpful because we gain new skills as well as we try to search on ourselves by exploring new features which did not included in assignment. So I hope this session could be helpful as previous one, and I hope you can gain more helpful knowledge. Thank you.
Okay. Have you checked the material that we shared with you?
About MVP, about Django, model view and
we shared a document on the group. Have you gone through it this week?
Yeah, about documentation of Django. I read.
Okay, the video that we shared on the WhatsApp group, have you watched it?
The video, not yet, but I read documentation.
Okay, all right. I need 2 more ladies to give me their feedback on what they've learned so far. So I don't pick names. Who's going first? Okay, I'll call names now. Bazubagira. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it well. Bazubagira, you want to give us a feedback so far what you've learned? If she's not responding, Joy, can you give us the feedback of what you've learned? Oh, Joy has left the call. Nadine, can you get feedback from you?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I went through the documentation you shared in group, but
Okay.
about the video, I have not yet watched it, but I plan to watch the video by today evening. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. What has been the class so far? Hello, Nadine. How has been the class? Have you been enjoying the class? Is it okay?
Sorry?
How has been the class so far? Have you been enjoying the classes?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the class, documentation, tutorials, tasks, everything. I enjoy it.
Okay, good. So please, before we start, I want over to the tutor to start. But before doing that, Kachi, can you go on?
Yeah. Now, my approach was a bit different, but I would like you also to advise me on that. Basically, okay. I went further and did more research on object-oriented programming.
Okay.
But now where I wanted to ask is my IDE of choice is PyCharm. I don't know if I'll get difficulty through the bootcamp session because I went ahead, managed to do installation of PyCharm on my machine. Now, OOP that I've been coding on that IED. So I've done a good research on that. So
okay,
I think I'm good to go. But I just wanted to know if I will have challenges during the sessions because I know
No, you shouldn't have challenges.
No, okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't have challenges because like I said, we advise you to use the most easier to install is what do they call it? VS Code because it's free. I know, right? You can even use Sublime. You can use PyCharm. Anyone you want to use. The whole goal is for you to be able to structure your code. But VS minimum, everybody should use VS Code minimum. Once you use PyCharm. Sublime may not be that good in terms of structure, UX wise, but it can still work, right? But so recommendation, you can use PyCharm, you can use VS Code. I think those two, any of those two is perfect. Any other idea you want to use works. Okay. So please, I know some people joined after I started. Please, the whole goal of this session is each week we have 2 sections, part 1 and part 2. The experience you have gone through at least the first part, then come to the core and then ask questions. Because if you're just waiting for the sessions to hold and you say, I enjoyed it, trust me, you're not enjoying it. I'll be honest with you. Because you're not practicing. The essence of doing this is not that it's not for you to practice after the video. No, it's for you to take out time, watch the video before each class, watch documentary, practice what the video says, then come to the core and then ask questions. It's possible for you to start watching the video and you do the same thing and it doesn't work for you, right? What do you do at that point? That's when you come and say, guy, I might try to do what they did in the video, it did not work, and you share your screen and they explain to you. So, and don't also wait to the end of the class. If you have questions on the group, drop it as it's hot on the group. That guys, send the screenshot. This thing did not work. Who can help me? So please, that's the better way to learn, right? So that as we get deeper and deeper, you are going to face challenges, issues. Drop it on the group. Or don't wait for the call. If you're on the call, you can ask questions. I would say that I would like to introduce today's tutor, Mr. Said Adedeji, as he continues the class. Over to you, Mr. Said. Said is a senior backend engineer, right? Based in the UK, and he has been writing Python for over years now. And the privilege to having explain some basic principles to you today and take the class. So, guys, enjoy the class, ask questions, and over to you, Mr. Said.
Good day, everyone. I'll be one of your colleagues today. I think I'm here to take the topic MVT in Django. That is model views templates in Django. But then just a bit about myself. I'm Said Adedeji. I think that is kind of obvious from the name. Then I've been working with Django for over 5 years. I majorly work as a backend developer using Python and Django. So, over 5 years. So, like I said earlier, I introduced myself as a colleague, not the instructor. So, why I said I'm a colleague is, so using Django as a backend developer, I don't actually use the MVT part of Django that much. So, Django itself is, I don't know. I will just share my screen. So Django itself is a full package framework that you can actually use to build web applications. So if we go to Django documentation, so you use it in building web application itself. But then I said I'm a backend developer and I use Django. So I don't actually use the full Django, or they are kind of an extension of Django. So there's this popular library called Django REST Framework, which is kind of an extension of Django that allows you to write API. So that is what I majorly use. So I don't actually use the MVT parts. Hence, that is why I said I am your colleague today, because I will also be learning the MVT. I've used it before, but then it's been a while. So I will also be learning while also kind of explaining the concepts. But without taking much of your time, we can just dive into it. So I believe that since this is not the first class, so you basically know what Django is. Maybe not I've used it that much, but then you know some of the basic things in Django. But then, like I said, I'll be explaining the MVT parts and basically. Yeah.
So our last class they had was more. Yeah, the last class they had was more on the fundamentals of Python. So aside from the material, I think most of them will be new to Django, except for
so this is like the first Django class.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so Django is we can just start from the documentation. So this is Django documentation. I can also drop the link in the chat, so you can all check it out. Where is the chat?
Oh, sorry. So here's the link to the Django documentation. Then if you basically click on the overview, what it tells you is Django tells the code base. If for some reasons you don't like the way some things work, you can actually fork your own Django, then maybe update it. So it is a Python framework. Then apart from Django, there are also other Python frameworks used for web development. I think we have the most popular one or close to Django now is Fast API. Then I think we have Flask. I think there have been framework like Web2Py also. So these are other Python framework that are used for web development. Yeah, so then you can actually see one of the feature, fully loaded, reassuringly secure. This fully loaded part, I think they are talking about the administration part. I will try to start. I don't know if we have enough time, but I'll try to start a project, just run you through what a project looks like in Django, so you can actually see some of these features. So there's this administration part, which is kind of one of the best part of Django. You don't actually need to write or set up your own administration. Django comes with its own administration. Then it is reassuringly secure. It exceedingly scalable. Yes, you can actually then incredibly versatile. Then I think normally you check some of the app that have been, some of our popular web applications that have been built with Django. Yeah, I think these are, you can see sites using Django. Then you have Mozilla, you have Instagram, you have Knight Foundation, you have OpenStack. I think Mozilla, Instagram, OpenStack, and these are kind of, Pinterest is also some kind of common platform that uses Django that are built with Django. So then not taking much of it, I think we have less than 40 minutes already. So I will just walk us through how to set up Django, what a Django application looks like, what the project looks like, how to add your own app and the rest. So can you still see my screen? Hello? Hello, you can just thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yeah, okay.
Yes, as you can see.
Okay, yeah, no problem then. So also I will not be like, I can't see the chat. So if you kind of have a question, you can just stop me anytime, so I can go over it once again. So basically this is kind of my environment. I'll be working from here. Let me see if I can increase this. Yeah. Yes. So I can increase the font size. So yeah, I'll just create a new directory and call it demo. And into the new directory. So like every other Python project that you work on, it is advisable that you create your own virtual environment. Do you know the meaning of virtual environment by now? Hello? Hello? Do you all know the meaning of virtual environment? You can just thumbs up if you know. Yeah, so virtual environment is kind of a way where you install package separately from, like, if you want to like have a separate environment for your application. So let's say you are working on 3 applications and they have different requirements. So you kind of create a virtual environment for 3 of them separately. So you don't actually install things globally. The whole idea is you kind of have each project with its own requirements separately. So I'll create my virtual environment. I'll call it I'll just call it VENV also. Yes, then I will activate the virtual environment since I'm on MacBook. So yes. So I have the virtual environment and it is activated, and you can, with this bracket at the back, you can see that it is activated. So basically, the next thing is just to install Django. So you just do pip install Django. And I think the latest version should be around 6. So the latest version is 6.0.2. So we have Django installed. Then you can actually confirm that by doing pip freeze. Then it shows you that you have Django 6.0.2 installed on your application. So I'll be working hand in hand with the Django documentation. Django documentation kind of have a very easy way to something like an easy tutorial that you can just follow along. So let me also increase the font here. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just go to the tutorial section of the Django application. So you have the getting started and you have your first app. So the first thing is to create to install Django, which we already did that. Then you can confirm that from your version environment Django. Then the next thing, we're creating a project. So like every other web application, so when you want to start work, you kind of create a project. Even if you are just doing HTML and CSS, you basically need to create a folder that kind of houses your HTML, CSS, and other files. So that's kind of creating a project. So when you create a project in Django, it kind of just comes, it creates some set of folder for you that just structures your application. So to create a project, you just basically need this command: Django admin start project my site Django tutorial. So well, I think you only need one of them actually. So you just need to call this. So the command is Django admin, Django-admin start project. Then you give the name of the project. So I'll call this project Rwanda. Okay, let me call it Django Con. So the moment I run this Django admin start project Django Con, in this my demo folder, there would have been a new folder called Django Con. So I'll go to my VS Code. I'm using VS Code here to kind of open the folder. So this is me opening the folder. In the folder, we have a file called manage.py. Most of the time, almost through your Django application, you would not need to actually update this manage.py. Like almost, if you need to update it, then there is like you are most of the time you won't just need to update it. Then if you really need to update it, you probably have a very deep knowledge of what you are doing. But then for now, you don't actually need to update it. This is basically, it's using running command. So as you'll see in the next few steps, we'll be using the manage. We'll call something manage. It is basically calling this file manage.py. So you use it to run, they are called management command. So you use it to run management command. Then after creating the folder itself is called Django Con. Then in the folder, you have another folder called Django Con again. So in this Django Con, you have the normal init file, which kind of turn this file into what they call it in Python again. But you basically need it to in your file in Python to kind of be able to kind of import and to be able to, it turns into, is a module or something. So I've forgotten the name, but basically you kind of need it. Almost every folder you create in Python, you need this, especially when you are working on a project. You need the $init.py. Most of the time also, you won't actually need to write anything here, but in some cases you may need to. So it is just kind of, it turns this folder. Basically, this is a folder without anything. You can actually create any other folder. Like I can create a new folder, call it, sorry, not inside this. So I can create a new folder, call it site and anything. This is just typically normal folder. But to make this is it a module in Python or something like that? So you need to actually add the $init_.py. Yeah. Then after that, other than this, then in the let me just delete this. So I don't need it. So in this Django conf folder again, other than this, you'll see the asgi.py. The asgi is used for, you have WSGI and we have asgi. So the asgi is used for asynchronous part of Django, while the WSGI is used for the synchronous part of Django. Again, you don't really need to care much about these files right now. Like manage.py, WSGI, asgi, you don't actually need to care about them. Then what you actually need to concern yourself with is settings.py. There are two files called settings.py and urls.py here. So as you can see here, in your urls.py, you basically have some stuff, then you have URL patterns here. So this URL pattern is where you kind of register your routes. They are called routes in Django. So you register your routes here. This is a route here called admin. Then how it works again, I will show you in a few seconds when I run the application. Then in this settings.py, you have some apps that come up that are already installed in Django. So in Django, what they actually call the app is like a unit of your project. So if you have a unit of your project, you call it app. Again, it may not make sense right now. So let's say your project is about you are building a retail management system. So a retail management system is a system like used in all these supermarkets. So where you see they have their products in the system, it has the price already. Then when you want to purchase the products, you go and meet them, they scan it, then the price comes up and you pay. So for such a system, you may have a unit for products. In that unit, the only thing that is stored is that the only information you find there is product information, maybe the product name, the product description, the product price and the rest, the product quantity and the rest. Then also you may have another unit for customer. So in this unit again, you have customer information, the customer name, customer details and the rest. You can have different units, like multiple units. Again, they are called app, not units in Django. So we'll create a few of them in few minutes. Then other than this, you have the middleware. Again, you don't actually need to care much about the middleware right now. In fact, you don't need to care much about this thing. As we go, as we move on in the project, you will actually find the use cases for them. So then you have the databases. So by default, you can see that there's a database configuration already here. By default, the moment you start a Django project, there's an SQLite 3 database that Django creates for you. In most cases, in test cases like in this demo here, this is okay for us. But in most cases, you will actually have your own database that you want to work with. So if you have your own database, you can actually plug in your database information here. There are different. Django kind of supports a lot of databases. So you have MySQL, you have Postgres, you have Oracle, and the rest. So you can also see their setup information in the Django documentation. So so you just Django database connection. Then if I click on this, so you can see Django officially supports the following database. You have Postgres SQL, MariaDB, MySQL, Oracle, and SQLite. So, but by default, if you don't provide a database, you don't actually need to set up a database to run your Django application, because it will come up with an SQLite. It will create an SQLite 3 database for you, which is kind of a lightweight database. Then you have the auth password validators. You don't need to care much about this also. It is basically a way to validate password. And these are basically what you have in your settings folder. So these files and folder, I'm not the one that created. The moment I run the Django admin start project, then I give it the name of the project. These folders are created and these files are created. Then going back to the tutorial again. So after this, you have the Django tutorial, you have the my site, you have the init.py, you have the settings.py, you have the urls.py, you have the asgi.py.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry for interruption. I wanted to know something before we move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the difference between and the relationship between the MVT and the IDE? And so is MVP being integrated in IDE? Because I saw you started setting up on MVT and then you moved to the IDE.
Yeah, so MVT and IDE are kind of different concepts. MVT has to do with web application. So Django works with a template called MVT. The thing in the MVT actually means templates, but then it is just MVT is just a kind of a concept that describes how web framework works.
Okay.
So when they say MVT, what they mean is model, views, and templates. IDE that you are talking about, IDE is just your development environment. In this case, I'm using VS Code. So this VS Code here is my IDE. And earlier, I think the facilitator mentioned that there are other IDE like Sublime, like PyCharm, like Atom, and the rest. So those are IDE. They are the tools that you use in writing code, basically. I don't know if you get that.
Yeah, I get, but I did. You did installation. The installation part you did on the MVT.
So what I installed was a package. So they are like, you understand Python is a language.
Yes.
So for a language, there are different languages. We have Python, we have C#, we have JavaScript, we have Java, and the rest. So for each of those language, there are some things called framework. So what this framework does, what they do is that they kind of help you in performing a specific task. So there are different framework. So Django is a framework in Python that helps in building web application. That is what Django does. So you have other framework in Python. You have scikit-learn. Scikit-learn is a library, not really a framework in this case. Scikit-learn is a library. Then let me use a framework again. So in JavaScript, there's another language closely related to JavaScript called TypeScript. So in TypeScript, there's a framework called Angular, I think. In JavaScript, there's a framework called React. They are all used for building web application. So Django is a framework for Python used for building web application. Then I also mentioned FastAPI. I also mentioned FastAPI. They do call it library. For now, you can just assume library and framework are the same thing, but they are not actually the same thing. So so FastAPI, you can assume FastAPI is a framework in Python used for also building web application. You have Flask also. These are frameworks used for building web application in Python. Then what you actually see me installed earlier.
Yeah, this one.
I think, where is it? This line here. Where I run pip install Django. I'm installing the Django framework.
Okay.
So I'm installing.
Sorry, the reason why I'm asking is I also try to do this, but I'm using PyCharm. Then I was able to install directly on the PyCharm.
Yes, you should be able to install it. So the only difference is if you did not create a virtual environment, you install it globally. If I create a virtual environment, I only install it in this environment.
Okay. Now I get. Okay.
So that is that. Then back to here, we've already started the project. We've created the project DjangoCon, and these are actually the setup. So again, I said it is a while that I've created work with Django. So I believe this is kind of your settings configuration. So the my site that they put here, that you see here, is kind of weird. What houses this your settings file? Why the Django tutorial is kind of what houses your old file. I think they call the project here my site, which is the first one we passed. Then the directory that is created is called the Django tutorial. So you have your project inside the Django tutorial directory. So because I did not actually, in my case, here they entered two names. You have my site and you have Django tutorial. In my case, I only entered one, DjangoCon. So the main folder, my main folder is called DjangoCon. Then the folder created inside this is also called DjangoCon. So let me just delete that, not to create confusion. How do I close this? So So now I will run it again. Start project. Then the name of the project is Django Con. Then let me call the folder that will now be created for it Rwanda. So I just want you to see the difference between these two. So now if I go back to just have a new window. I'm sorry about this. Okay, then I think I have it here already. So then I click on Django. Sorry. Go to document. This is demo. Then this is Rwanda. So now you can see that the project name is now Rwanda. Why the containing folder is Rwanda? Why the project name is Django Con? Initially, you have Django Con here and you have Django Con here. So I'm just trying to show you the difference between the two of them. Then so this is basically what we have. We have this similar structure in our application. I've explained what settings URLs are, and I said we don't need to care much about the ASCII and WSGI right now. So from that moment, since we installed Django, you can actually run the Python manager py.run server command. This is a very popular command. It basically starts your application. That is what it does. Just use it to start your application. So even without doing anything, we only install Django now. Then if I run Python manager py.run server, sorry, I need to enter the Rwanda folder. So to run this command, you have to be in the same folder where you have this manage.py. Like when you list the directory, I have my manage.py in. I have my manage.py in the Rwanda folder. So you need to enter the Rwanda folder. Then here you can actually run the command Python manager.py run server. So if you try to run it outside the folder, like I did earlier, if you run this command outside the folder, you get an error like this. So when you get this error, no such file or directory, then you should know that you are not in the same folder where you have the manage.py file. So you need to change your directory into the folder where you have your manage.py file, which is, for me, it is the Rwanda folder. So now when I run the server, which is this command, Python manager.py run server, if you check here, you can see that there's this db.sqlite3 here. This file is not here before. So this file here is actually the database that I said Django will create for us. So if you did not provide the database in your settings file, Django will automatically create this for you. So then we have the application running. Then it will return you. It is telling you that starting development server at HTTP 127. You can basically copy this whole line, then paste it in your browser. So if you paste that in your browser, then you have something like this coming up. The install worked successfully. Congratulations. Then this is kind of just a basic stuff in Django. The moment you install Django and you run this, then you should be able to see this. So that is basically that about setting up your project. So what we actually did right now is just create a project. If you're able to create the project correctly, then you run your server, then you should be able to access your application. This is where you access your application. So you just copy this link and you paste it here. Then you are able to access your application. Then other than that, you will see also, there's a warning here. You can see you have 18 unapplied migrations. Your project may not work properly until you apply the migrations. You don't actually need to care much about that right now. I think I will explain what migration is later and how you can like clear this error from your log. But then just leave it for now and we move on. So the next thing is we create an app. Like I said again, an app is like a unit of your project. So in this demo, in this tutorial, they are creating an app called Pools. So you can basically name your app anything. Earlier I said we can have an app called customer. You can have another app called what was the first one I mentioned? Product. So you can have an app called product. You can have an app called customer. You can actually name your app basically anything. Same with your project. So I will stop my development server now and just run the command Python managers py start app pose. So this is basically to create app. And the moment I run this, again, if you go to your folder, you will see another folder here now called pose, which is the name of the app. So in this app, again, you have a folder called migrations, which is kind of, if you remember, there's something about unapplied migrations here. So you have a folder called migration. These basically stored migration files. What migration file is, I will explain that later. Then you have the admin.py, you have the don't.init file again, which basically makes this a module in Python. So you have the admin.py, where you register your model for admin. Again, we will try this later. Then you have the app.py. This is kind of very important because when you register your app, this is kind of the link between where you point your settings to that you have a new app. Then you have the models file. The models is the MVT we've been mentioning all this while. This is where the models come in. The M in the MVT is models. Then you have the test file to write test cases. And you have the views file. So the V in the MVT again is this views. So you have the M and you have the V already. What is left with is your T. We'll get back to that later. So going back to this, then you can see that this structure that they have, it is the similar structure that we also have in our application. So then you come down here, you come back to write your first view. So you can just copy all these things that they have here, and just copy it here. Then we go to our views file. Then we basically just paste this here. So this is your views file. So what this view file is just telling you is that return this thing, HTTP response, hello world, you are at the pose index. Then again, we copy this again. So basically, your pose file does not have any. There's a URL file earlier that was in the project. When we create the project, you can see there's a URL file. So you create, for each app you create in Django again, you have to create their own URL file also. So I'll create a new file here, call it urls.py. Then I'll basically paste what I have here. And what this thing is just registering the view to register your route. So I have a route here. I have a views here that returns hello world, you are at the pose index. Then I have the route here added to the URLs file for that same view. Then going back to the documentation again, you can see the URLs file. You should have the URLs file like this. Okay, you copy this again. Basically, I don't need to copy it. I just need to, if you check the main Django con, the main folder URLs, I have a URL already called admin here. By default, I did not add this. So you can just add this new URL. You can just add it to it. Then this include, I don't have it before. So I'll go back here and just copy this from Django.urls import include and path. So I can actually import include here. Then that is basically all for that. Then again, you remember I stopped this server running before. Then I need to just enter the same command, this Python manager py run server again. I enter the command again to run the server. Then now if I go back to my web page, the application where it is running. Now I do /pose. What you see here is hello world. You are at the polls index. So this is what I basically have in these views here, in my views here. I only have a single view here called index. So what I have here is this hello world, you are the polls index. But normally this is not what you will want to build in your application. This is not the normal template. So normally your views returns your template. That is where you have model views. I'm not sure I'll have enough time to explain this. But then your views basically returns a template. So you have models, which we've not actually talked about. You have views. Then this thing that is being returned by your views is meant to be a template. Right now, you are returning just a single text. But then what you will eventually return is a template. And what they mean by template, when they are saying template, is basically an HTML. So when they say a template, they means an HTML page. So I don't know if I can fast forward to that. So we are basically done with this part 1. Then the part 2 is explaining this. So part 2, we have models. So explaining what models is, let me copy this first and just paste it in the pose models here. So I'll just paste it here. So what is model? Model is basically, when they say model, they basically mean a table in your database. So you should know that a database, especially a relational database, stores data in form of a table. So when they mean a model, so this question here is a model here. This choice here is a model here. So when they said a question model, this is basically a question model. And what this thing is telling you is that extend, basically all your models will extend to mark a class. This is a Python class. To mark a class as a model, you basically need to just extend the models.model. So you inherit this models.model from the models. Then the moment you inherit it, you have your quest. You just give it the name of the class. And this here is called your question model. And what the question model basically means is a question table in your database. What you are saying is create this table called question for me. Then in this table, I want a character field called question text. So this question text is a column in your database. So it's saying create a column in this my question table called question text. And this question text is a character field, is a character column, it stores text. Then you have pub_date, publication date. So this is saying create a new column for me in that same table. So the table name is question. I have 2 columns, question text and publication date. And if you've worked with database before, when you're creating a column, you basically tell it which type of column is it. So I'm saying create 2 columns for me. The first one is question text. It stores here I'm using a char field. So what a char field basically means is text. I'm storing text, and the maximum length of the text is 200. That is basically what this means. Then this one is, the other one is create a new column for me called publication date. And this publication date column is a date time field. So it stores a date time. So what we have in your publication date is a date time. Then here you are creating another table called choice. So it's the same format. You create a choice, a class called choice, and you inherit this models.model. Then in this choice, I want 3 fields now. I have a question field. I have a question column. It's called field in Django. In your database, it is called column. So maybe we should just map that down. So I can just jot this down somewhere. Anytime you hear model, it basically means a table in your database. So a model in Django is a table in database. Then when I say field, a model field in Django is a table column in database. Then a model instance already is a table record. So this is another model. Create another model called choice. Then there's a field which is now your database column called question. There's another one called choice text. There's another one called votes. Then you can see that this choice text is char field. And I explained already that whenever you say char field, it basically means a text. And you specify the maximum length. Oh, I want this column to hold text. And the maximum length of the text they should hold is 200. Then you also have another field called votes. Then this vote is actually an integer field. So you are telling your database to create 3 columns here, one for question text, and the last one for votes. And these votes hold an integer. Then you have the first one, which is question, which I did not talk about. Then the type of field this is called foreign key. So basically, again, I don't know if you've worked with database. Has there been anybody that has worked with database before? You can just raise your hand if you've worked with database before. Hello? Yes. So, yeah. So for those that have worked with database before, there's something called relationship in database. And I think we basically have about 3. Yes, at least in Django, we have 3 types of relationship that maps to the database relationship. So we have database relationship. We have one-to-one. We have the one-to-one. We have the many-to-many, and we have the one-to-many. So you have one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. This foreign key you see here is basically a one-to-many relationship. And you can see people call it many-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one. It's basically the same thing. It kind of depends on where the field is. That is what defines whether you call it one-to-many or many-to-one. So this foreign key here is a one-to-many relationship. You have many-to-many and you have one-to-one. So just to quickly explain one-to-one relationship. So you can explain one-to-one relationship like it's relationship you have between a father and a son. So it's not really. Sorry about that. Let me see. One-to-one relationship. One-to-one relationship. I'm looking for an easier thing to explain one-to-one relationship. So so let's say there's a rule that you can have a. You said
like,
what?
Is it like an ID number to an individual? Like
that means so a student a year can take all the 3 courses here. Then the mathematics course here can also be the 3 students here can also take the mathematics course here. I don't know if you understand that. So that is basically many-to-many relationship. So in many-to-many relationship, you have it in 2 ways. If you remember father and son, a son can only have a single father, whereas a father can have many children. So in the time of many-to-many, if I'm saying father and son relationship is many-to-many, then it kind of means a son can also have multiple father. So a father can have multiple sons, then a son can also have multiple father. In the real world, that does not make sense. But then that is a typical example of many-to-many relationship. But in the real world, a father-son relationship is one-to-many. I don't know if that is clear. Then going back to, I think we are spending above the time already. So let me just round this up. So I don't know if I can cover. I'm trying to rush through it, but then
let me ask guys. Hello, yeah, while you're trying to round up, are you guys willing to spare an extra 5 to 10 minutes? Just want to
yeah,
guys
yes.
are okay?
Yes, fair enough.
Round up.
I think it's okay for me.
Okay, so 5 minutes. All right.
Yes. I'm trying to make it make sense at a stop at a particular point that kind of makes sense.
So you don't need to do, so you can just show them the basic and they can continue from there. If they have questions, they can always ask. Right, maybe you can complete the section you're talking about.
Yeah, I will just try to render a template.
Month-to-many relationship. Maybe they can.
Yeah, I'll just try to render a template. Look for where a template is being rendered. Then I think we can stop there. Okay, this is basically where we have templates. So just to show you what we have the models already. I showed you an example of model. Then I also showed you a views, which kind of don't make sense right now. So to create a template in Django, you basically just create a new folder called in your app, you create a new folder called template folder. Then when you have your template folder, you create another folder inside your template folder. And this folder now has the same name as your app name. So the app name here is pools. So I'll create another folder inside this template folder called pools. Then inside this folder again, you create your template file. So in this case, my template file is index.html, which is kind of the normal HTML that you know. So I'll just, and you can basically just so I can basically just say h1 hello world. So this is templates. Then I need a loader for the template. I'm trying to rush through this. It kind of makes sense. Sorry. Loader for the templates. Then I'm not passing any context for now. So yeah, I think now if we go back to our app, sorry, I think I need to register the app again. There are kind of a lot of stuff. So to register an app, we have an app called Post. Basically, when you create an app, you add it to the installed apps in your settings file. So you just add the name of the file as Post. Also, if you check your the Django documentation, it does not necessarily add the name of the app. It has a path to the so when you check if you are following the documentation, this is done here. So what you see there is rather than having this pose here, what they add is pose.app.postconfig. It basically does the same thing. So you can just add it this way or you can add it this way. So what this kind of does is if you check your pose, you have a folder, a file name apps. Then if you have in your apps, you have something called postconfig. So this is actually what it's pointing to. If you also add this as pose, it will figure this out on its own. Then yeah. I think I'm missing something. I think I figured it. I think it is templates, not templates. I'm not sure. That's it. No. It is templates. Pools index.html. Pools index.html. This is the downside of live coding. I'm still trying to figure out why it is not. And just render it this way. Hopefully this works. Yeah, and this works. So I'm sorry for the rush. I was just trying to show you what the way MVT works. So what we have the models, which is like I said, they are the tables in your database. We have the views, and what the views actually render is your template. So I created this template called HTML. Then if I add a new H1 here, I said, welcome to WonderCon, and I save this. I reload here. You have the welcome to the WonderCon. So your views basically renders your template. Your views is just a function that returns your template to your browser, where your models is actually your tables, your database table. Your models is your schema of your database. So that is the whole idea of MVT. So you have your models, which are the tables. Then currently we are not using this model because there's not enough time, but basically we are supposed to write some data, like add some data into the model, then bring those data from the database, which is your model, into your template, which is kind of why you have this here. So this here, you bring it as context. It is called context to your database. So this context you have here is basically a way to pass data from your database into your template. So I think we will stop here today. I know this is not much. We don't have enough time, so I wish I could have gone further than this. But then I think at this point I can just welcome any question. So if you have any. Hello.
Yeah, guys, any questions? Think that's not clear. Do you have any concerns?
Oh,
we can hear you, Said.
Yeah, I think someone missed.
Any question for anyone? Yeah, raise your hand up. You can go ahead and talk. Everybody.
Yes.
Any question? So I know you mentioned about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not actually like a question, but it's right now I think it's a bit. It looks a bit complicated, but from my part I think I've gotten them. To some extent, I've gotten the concept. So probably maybe if you would like before the next session, maybe if there's specific thing that you would like us to go to check on it, basically just to synchronize or to broaden our understanding on today's session.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
I dropped the documentation here earlier, so I think you can actually follow on the documentation. Just I'm still sharing my screen, right? Just go from page to page. Try to follow each of these things. You don't need to edit anything. Just copy this thing, then look at the way they set up the file, create your own file. Try to just replicate this thing. While replicating it, you figure out a lot. When things don't work, you can actually drop it on the channel and people will reach out. So you can even go as far as creating the name of the project as the project they use. I think they use Django tutorial or something. But then if you are able to walk through this documentation, I think there are about 5 parts or 6 parts to the documentation. You will basically have the basic concept of Django, how Django works. If you can walk through all this documentation, then I wish we could have gone further than this. We could not even complete the part 2 of the documentation. But then if you can actually complete the whole documentation, you basically understand how things work there. Then you can start manipulating things yourself. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, so to add to what Said says, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Can you hear me? All right, good. So to add what you question you had, right, it shows that ideally most of you have not looked, because you've made this documentation that Mr. Said is using for this class. Apparently, I didn't share with him, and it happens to be the same documentation we shared when we prepared this study guide for you guys that we shared on the group for week 2. Right, this documentation is what's on week 2, which you're supposed to use to learn. So that's why I don't want, the ideal goal was you guys should go to the document before the class. So if you guys have gone through this documentation before the class, trust me, you have enough time, right? You have enough time to have done some of this thing and ask questions. So please, for the next class, our next class is on Friday. Like we said, we're having 2 classes. One on Wednesday, one on Friday. The first half of the course will be explained on Wednesday. The second part 2 will be explained on Friday. When we share the course, we share it in 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is talking about data layer models. So I touched around it. You went past, you jumped, you touched part of it, but no problem. So to make a lot of sense when we are talking about it in the next class. So talking about data layers, models, schemas, file types in our next class. We've already shared a video tutorial and a PDF. If we check the stacks we shared last week, you see that it contains all this. So I want you guys to, catch up on what you've done today. Your assignment will be for you to finish that part 1 and part 2 before Friday, so that you understand how the Django works. So 1, that's your assignment. You're building on that. Start the project, right? Install Django. Please, as much as possible, try not to install Django globally. Use a virtual environment. If you have any question around virtual environment, ask. Or you can even search, how do you set up with virtual environment? And you see the steps, right? Start that. Replicate this tutorial, part 1 and part 2, on your own. On Friday, when we're having this session, let's have more conversations of issues, because that's the goal. You shouldn't be going to go to explain what you get as supposed to have done. It's meant to be like, okay, I'm stuck here. We explain that part. And that person asks another question, we explain the next part to get. So let's try as much as possible going forward. Before the class, we share the document on Monday. Or do you think Monday is too short? Should we share it on Sunday or Saturday? I want to hear you guys comment. Can you unmute yourself and let me know? So I think you can stop sharing if you want to, so that you want to leave, so you can leave. So guys, what do you guys think? Sunday, okay, good. I'll be sharing it on Sunday then. So share document on Sunday, so you guys can have time on Monday to review it, right? Everybody says Sunday. Okay, that's fine. So you're here to do what makes you guys happy. Oh, good, joy. That's fine. Sundays. Okay, that's fine. So we share the document for this next week on Sunday for week 3. Yeah, I'll try and share it on Sunday for week 3. So that, please, guys, try to go through this video and the document before the class. I know you're busy, you're a student, but take out time, a day or two. You can finish both and understand. Then when we come to the call, let's have conversation. I know I tried this, it failed. I tried this, it failed. That's the best way you can learn. We can never cover everything I'm going to cover in a class within 1 hour. This is like a 1 hour class. We can spin over to 1 hour 30 minutes. Right? So please, and please, you guys should just try as much as possible to maximize the 1 hour 30 so you guys can ask questions. Because right now, none of you have gone to practice. So challenge it to my face, you might not know how to ask it. But that doesn't matter. Drop those questions on the group. Take screenshots, drop those questions. We all answer. Yes, this time zone for the start. Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. around that time. Please, 7 p.m. around that time. Always, that's the time. So, thanks so much, Mr. Said. I really appreciate your time. And funny enough, I'm even kind of happy the way you took it from, and that's how you learn. That's how you work on tutorial. Right? I'm glad that, yeah, around that time, 7 p.m. I'm glad that he went through tutorial and practiced it live. Right? And that Cairo time is saying around that time. So it's 7 p.m. It's 7 p.m. around that time, guys. So let's work with it. So please, guys, you see the way Said went through the document step by step. That's what I want you guys to go through. When you share video, go through the document, read it, watch video. If you feel the document we share is not good enough, you have the topic. Google, search, and look for topic document that can make you learn better. You can even share it on the group so that your other colleagues can learn from it. Right? So, guys, thanks so much for today's session. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself. And don't forget the last assignment that was shared during last class. By Phil. Don't forget to submit it. And your next assignment now is to complete this pool project before Friday, guys. So please, I want everyone to keep up. We're observing people's participation, and we're taking off from there. In addition,
Yeah, I think Sunday's internet went off. If you can just hold on a bit.
Yeah. We lost him. Okay, I have a question before maybe he rejoins. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Now, about the MVT files. The naming now, can they be customized to a different name, or they have to be in the order the way you put them or you name them?
Yeah, so that is kind of a very valid question. So like over the years, like I said, I have worked for about 5 years using Django. The thing I see is that different organizations have kind of their own naming structure. So even though, when I create a way to write their own. So the file earlier, the one showing views.py, some organization, they call it api.py. So some organization create their own convention on naming this file. So it does not actually matter what you name the file, especially most of the file. Like some of them, when you rename them, you may need to make some changes again to them. So I think currently, while you are just starting, you can just work with what you have. Like you don't need to rename them, just use it the way they are. Then when you have a grasp of what the way it works, then you can start renaming it, work on renaming it. But now I think it would be a lot easier if you just use the name the way they were created, like use views, leave views as views, use URLs as URLs. Some people actually call URLs router, they call views API and the rest. But then you can just use it the way they are now. Then when you have a full grasp of the way it works, you can start making changes to it. In fact, some people use they have more than a single view file. They create a folder for views, they create a folder for URLs and the rest. But then when you have full graphs of the whole system, you kind of understand how to actually do that. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it answers the question. So basically, this is the area where most of the troubleshooting happens, because so that's where you did much of the magic before great things happen. So is it now, from just a point of view from your, you've been working on this for quite some time, is it an area where much of the troubleshooting when it comes to Django or web programming happens?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. You can see earlier I was trying to render the template, and I was actually having issue with rendering the template, just showing whatever is in the template. So it kind of depends. So the error does, in my case, it was I initially named the templates folder. Instead of naming it templates as in plural, I named it templates. So just only that can actually cause you an issue. So you can actually have issue with, like, the error comes from anywhere. It may be your syntax error, it may be from your file name, it may be like, it comes from anything. Like just you not paying enough attention. So I should have known that thing is template, but then I didn't actually pay enough attention. But then eventually you look at the error and you figure it. Again, the more error you get, you kind of get familiar with it. So whenever you see this error, you'll be like, oh, I saw this, and this is the way I fix it. So you get familiar with the more error you get, you kind of solve it and you get familiar with it. Then I saw a question in the chat. Do Django make web interactive alone, or you mix some JavaScript? Yes, I think you need to mix your JavaScript. JavaScript is language of the web eventually. So earlier I showed you templates, which is the templates consist of HTML. So you can also add your your CSS, and you can also add JavaScript, just the way you kind of make the web page interactive with JavaScript. So, or jQuery or Bootstrap, you can add all those stuff to it. You can use you can add all those stuff the same way you add your CSS, you add your jQuery and the rest to your HTML file. You can also do the same thing here. I don't know if that answers your question also. So, is there any other question?
Yeah, and also a quick one. You mentioned something to do with what really is app when in Python.
An app in Django, I think you mean.
In Django, yeah.
An app is kind of a base. It's just a way you break down a project. So if you have a full project, I think I mentioned a system. Let's say you have you want to build an attendance system for a school. So an app is kind of a way you break down that whole project. So you break down into folders. In Django, they're actually folders. So you break them down into like small units. So I want to build an attendance system. What makes up an attendance system? Obviously, you have students. So you can create a folder for students. Then that folder is an app now. So it stores information about students. Everything you have in that folder will be about students. Oh, where you create a model in that folder where you register the students' information. You create a views in that folder where you list students in the school. Then other things that you may need in an attendance system, you have something like departments. So you can have departments, you can have lecturers. You can decide to actually create app for each of these stuff. So the number of apps you have in your system is entirely dependent on you. But then again, as you go further, you find out like it is kind of an easier way to just segment your application. You don't want everything to be in a single place. Okay. So you create an app to kind of break things down to make it like easier to actually go through your code.
So is it like class in programming?
An app is not actually a class. Like, you remember when I created an app earlier, it actually returns a folder. So an app is kind of a folder. Okay. Then you in the folder is kind of a folder that represents an entity. So everything regarding that folder will represent a single entity. So earlier I used a student as an app. So if you are using a student as an app, you're creating a student as an app. In that same app, you have a views, you have a models, you can have templates and the rest. But then all of them The models will be models about students. The views will be views about students. So the models can be, I'm creating a table called students. Then I will have the first name, the last name, the age, the department, and the rest for that particular, for that student table. That is what you have in your models. Then in your views, you can have something like list of students, attendance of students, actually, like the time they come in, the time they come out. But everything will have to revolve around students. So if you create an app, everything around the app revolves around a single entity. So in this case, I'm using students as an example. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. It does.
Yeah, someone said, it means even React can be also used. Not directly. You cannot directly use Django with React. It will not work directly. You can actually run your use your Django as a backend for React. Like I said, I'm a backend developer, so I use Django backend. There's another part. We actually use React for frontend, like you said. So you can run your React app separately as a frontend, then use Django as a backend. But there are kind of ways also you can actually run your React app inside your Django. You can actually check. I think there's this Vite that used to start React, and there's something called Django Vite that kind of makes you run your React with Django. So you can also check that out. It's called Django Vite. Let me see.
Any other question, guys? So we want you guys to practice first before coming to spend much time answering your question. Right? Yeah, so you can promote on. Yes. So as a backend or backend, right? Just want you to understand the foundation. And in the long run, most people don't really invent applications whereby they end up having a decentralized system whereby you use Python as a backend, rather than any other stack you want to do there, right? But right now, I just want to focus more on understanding that you Python can do full stack for you, right? Even though right now people don't use, for instance, Django Rwanda, Python Rwanda, or Django Rwanda website, which should be Operation Rwanda, will be built with full stack Django, because it's more like a static website. They are just operating servicing for now. So I will say that if you have any further question because of time, you can drop your question and we'll respond to you. Once again, thanks for your time today. Like I said, guys, I feel in the last class is for you to work on this tutorial on Django documentation part 1 and part 2 and push it to your GitHub repository. We might create a form where you guys will be expected to put your name, your email, and the repository URL of that project. That will be a form of submission. We are noting down people that are working on assignments, so that if you want to give out an award subsequently, you guys can know those that participated fully. So please, like I said, by Friday, right, you should create name, email, and your GitHub repository for this particular book. So work on the book, to push it to Git repository, the repository link to us. Feel free to ask questions anytime. I know I will say that. Thanks again for coming. Yeah. Specific. Will there be a file to specify the requirements of this assignment? Yeah, I'll work on it and share. I'm just going to work on it and share. Just go through tutorial 1 and tutorial 2. I'll drop it on the group. Yeah. So I will say that, guys, do enjoy the rest of your week. See you guys on Friday.